DXY, fractal balance, the 1.0 touch, and the golden ratio. Before adding any Fibonacci levels, I want you to look at the chart exactly as it is. Don't analyze the numbers yet. Just look at the structure. There is a larger movement here, and inside it, a smaller structure that appears to have a remarkably similar internal organization. Can you see the symmetry? What we're looking at is not simply a sequence of random swings. The market appears to be repeating a relationship across different scales. Now let's expose the structure, the physical action. But before we look at the Fibonacci relationships, look at what actually happened. There was an accumulation, then an attempt to move higher, and that attempt failed aggressively. Price was pushed back down. Then came a second attempt. It resembles the first, but the accumulation behind it was smaller. And yet the market received essentially the same answer. Another aggressive rejection. This creates an interesting question. Did a smaller structure encounter the same opposing force? If so, the smaller structure may actually be revealing something about the strength of that force. Or was the second attempt simply smaller and weaker, and therefore unable to overcome the same resistance? Either way, the important point is that the scale changed, but the response remained remarkably similar. We're not just comparing price. We're comparing structure, stored energy, expansion, and response. Now we can measure the relationship, the exact 1.0 touch. Once the larger and smaller structures are isolated, they can be compared proportionally using Fibonacci extension. And this is where something remarkable appears. The structure reaches the 1.0 extension with remarkable precision. This isn't simply a zone where price oscillated. It is a precise contact, a one-to-one movement, a 1:1 relationship between the structural units. And that distinction matters. In a naturally occurring system, extreme numerical precision is unusual. So the question isn't only what happened at 1.0. It's what this precise relationship may have created afterward. The creation of liquidity. A precise touch can become a very clear structural reference, and potentially a liquidity-building event. The market establishes the relationship and leaves liquidity concentrated around that reference. And this brings us to the next Fibonacci relationship. From 1.0 toward 1.618. If 1.0 represents exact balance, the next question is whether that balance can persist. The hypothesis is that the system may move away from this linear equilibrium and seek a new proportional state through 1.618, the golden ratio. So we have 1.0, exact balance. 1.618, nonlinear expansion. The interesting part is the transition between these two states. Returning to the current structure. Now we can return to the second and third images. The larger Fibonacci structure places the current DXY price around the 0.786 region, with a reference level near 98.514. So we now have several proportional layers. Fractal structure, the repeated units. 1.0, the exact 1:1 relationship. 1.618, the potential next expansion. 0.786, the current position within the larger structure. The analysis is therefore no longer simply about support and resistance. It's asking whether the market is transitioning from one proportional state to another. The central idea. The important observation is not simply that price touched Fibonacci. It's that the market produced an unusually precise 1:1 structural relationship. That precision can create a clear liquidity reference. And once that reference exists, the next question becomes, does the system remain balanced at 1.0 or expand toward 1.618? The market does not need to repeat the same prices. It can repeat the same relationships. And when those relationships become fractal, Fibonacci gives us a way to measure the transformation from one structural scale to another.